G'day and welcome back to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon, and in this little video series I'll be giving you 3 bite-sized videos on a beginner's guide to something called Yaktribe. Now, what exactly is Yaktribe? If you didn't watch the last video, I did a beginner's guide to Yaktribe. In this one I'm going to be exploring campaigns and how to arbitrate and run those campaigns in Yaktribe. Yaktribe is a tool, an online tool created by some bloody legend called Marlowe. An awful lot of work has been put into this. It is completely unofficial and not affiliated to Games Workshop, but it's absolutely necessary if you're playing modern or old Necromunda, as well as Gorka Morka, Shadow War, Armageddon, among many other different game systems as well, but predominantly Necromunda. Now, I've been using Yaktribe for a good few years now, and honestly, I have to say my games of Necromunda wouldn't be anywhere near as fun, as engaging, or as enjoyable without using the tools in Yaktribe. I'm not affiliated to Yaktribe at all, just to say, but I do seriously respect and value the work that's been put into this from the community as a whole. I thank you, Marlowe. Anyway, before we get into this, please do like, share, subscribe, and check out the Patreon as well as we get into this second part of Yaktribe for beginners. So let's carry on where we left off. In the last video, I showed you how to create a gang list in Yaktribe. What we're going to do today, though, is look at it from an arbitrator's perspective in terms of running a campaign, both from the arbitration perspective, so the sort of dungeon master, so to speak, I suppose, for Necromunda, but also from the actual player's perspective as well. So if we go back into our main sort of menu where we have Underhive tools, again, don't confuse this for Necromunda tools, as that is the 95 version of the game. Underhive tools is what we're going to be using here. Now, if we go back to that main page, again, last week we focused on Gang Manager. This week we're going to focus on Campaign Manager, which is the second option on that main page. Now, if we head into that, you will see that there are a bunch of options. Now, what I'm going to do first is actually show you one of my current campaigns, in fact, my current open campaign that I'm currently playing and arbitrating. But first, a few campaign Q&As on the main page here. Now, I'll just go through these quickly. Of course, I'm probably going to be covering most of this, but this is just to give you an explanation of what you see in front of you. Campaign Q&A. How do I create different campaign types? When creating a new campaign, select which type under campaign type. So this is where you choose either Dominion, Uprising, Law and Misrule, all sorts of other things as well, Outlander campaigns. How many gangs can be in a campaign? There are no limits to how many gangs that can be in a campaign. So that's pretty cool. You can have hundreds if you like, but of course I would generally suggest that less is more with stuff like that. How do I add my friends' gangs? Now, here's where you can create a guild and then a Necromunda Underhive roster and invite your friends. Once they're part of the roster, their gangs will appear here and be added easily. There are other ways to add your friends' gangs as well, and I'm going to show you how to do that. What if they're not a guild member? Search for their gang name under gang search when editing the campaign. So there you go, that's what I'm going to show you in a bit. What about my custom gangs, equipment and skills, etc.? Any custom entries you've made in the Necromunda tools will be available to all gangs in the campaign automatically, as long as they're set to share for the campaign. Again, I'm going to show you how to do the customization and whatnot in part 3 of this video series. This is really just focusing on the campaign to keep it brief. Am I allowed to edit other players' gangs in my campaign? As a campaign admin, you have full access to edit any gangs in the campaign. So if you are the arbitrator and you've set yourself to the admin of that campaign, you indeed can go to your players in your campaign's gangs, edit everything down to the money, down to the experience and whatnot. You have free reign on that, but do not abuse it as an arbitrator. Can I have more campaign admins? Yes, you can assign any other user in your campaign as an admin as well. This can be very helpful, particularly if you've got a large campaign or you're an arbitrator that's a little bit busy in your private life and you can't physically or mentally actually manage the challenge of running a full Necromunda campaign, which is what I'm actually finding at this point in my life at the moment. It's quite hard to keep track of things. Can I track what the other gang owners are doing in their gangs? Absolutely, there is a little history there. All gangs and gangers have an action history. Any admins in the campaign can view the history of all gangs. So this is where you can find out if people are cheating, doing dodgy stuff, which doesn't happen that frequently in Necromunda, I have to say, but it can do. So this is where, as an arbitrator, you have to sort of keep your night vision goggles on. And how do I remove a gang from my campaign? If you're a campaign admin, you can click on the gang from the campaign gangs panel and then edit the gang details, selecting none for their campaign. So there you go, you can kick someone out of the campaign as well as adding them too. So that's the main thing with the campaign Q&A. So the next thing to look at, and something that you're not going to have on your screen as a noob, is the list of campaigns that we actually currently have down the left hand side here. Now you can see I've got a shit ton of campaigns because I've been playing this for quite a few years and using Yaktribe as a resource for quite a few years as well. I've got about 20 down the side there, with the most recent at the top, Cottontown 95. And to be honest, what we're going to do now is actually just go and have a look at my campaign, see how it looks to a player and see how it looks as an arbitrator as well. So let's head on into Cottontown 95. So now we're in Cottontown 95, which is my current campaign, which I am the sole arbitrator of. We're kind of mid to late part way through the campaign at the moment, but this is how the page looks when you look into your campaign as an arbitrator. In fact, what we will do before we actually look at it properly is we'll hit this big grey button in the middle where it says view campaign, because I don't want to show you the view as an arbitrator just yet. I think it's better to see it as a player first. So if you view campaign, that will give you what it looks like to an actual player in the campaign as opposed to the arbitrator. So we'll hit that button there, view campaign, and it gives you a lovely, beautiful, beautiful spread of all the information for this campaign. Starting at the top here, we have the name of the campaign, Cottontown 95. We then have the territories map. So this is where all of the territories have been assigned to different gangs. This is a bit of a hybrid campaign between Dominion and Law and Misrule, among other things. So what we've got here is we've got multiple different colours here, a beautiful little spread of 2 territories each for each of these gangs. Now you can see those colours are representing different gangs in the campaign. So if you look down the right hand side here, we have all of the different gangs in the campaign listed by predominantly, it starts off as gang rating. So the highest gang rating will be first. This is kind of embarrassing because that's my gang at the top there, Brotherhood of the Shrike. You can see Scorched Earth second with 1580 on gang rating, and then the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn there with 1530 there as well. But what you can do at the top there, you've got campaign gangs. Underneath that you have rating, reputation, wealth, kills, battles and territory. So if we cycle through that, that will create the order, the list order for those different things. So you can filter that by reputation, so to see who is the top in terms of reputation. I am, of course, with 25 reputation there as well. In terms of wealth, though, I think I'm also at the top there, which is, again, very embarrassing. We've got kills, though. Now, I think this is where someone might have entered this in incorrectly. Kills is obviously where you actually kill people, not where you take people out of action. We've got 25 kills there. I'm kind of dubious as to whether that's actually real or not. And then we've got battles as well, which is pretty cool. So who's fought the most amount of battles? This Corridor gang, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, have fought 7 battles. So they're definitely ahead of everybody else in terms of the games that they fought. And then we've got territories as well. The Blaze Star Heroines, Escher here, with 4 territories. So the only one with 4 territories in this game, or this campaign, should I say. Now, if we keep going down, we will see a list of rackets as well. So like I said, I've got a combination of Dominion and Uprising territories along with rackets as well. So each gang has 1 racket and 2 territories to start with, as we're running a different sort of campaign here. And then below that, we've got all of the different battles that have been tracked in here too, which is pretty cool. Now, you can go a little bit further with these battles and actually edit them and create big long stories, which is really nice to do, but that hasn't really happened in this situation. You can just, in this case, see who's won, who's lost with the little trophy symbol next to the gang sign, what the scenario was as well in there, and which gangs were involved. And that's that. Below that, we have event. So this is the actual part where the arbitrator can enter events mid-campaign, during, at the beginning, or at the end of a campaign, and give a little story and a little blurb as to what is going on currently in the campaign. Give a little bit of lore to things, and also you could even put the actual rules pack in there as well. If there are any house rules, you can put them in there too. But this is just the view from the player. What we're going to do now is go and have a look as the arbitrator what we can do in terms of the tools within this campaign setup. So that was how my current campaign is looking. What we're going to do now is create your own campaign. So all you need to do now is head back to the campaign manager menu and hit the plus sign where it says new campaign on the top left there. What that will do is create another little pop-up box that has create campaign in it with a drop-down menu and 2 little boxes there. So what you've got is, on the drop-down menu at the top, you have Dominion and Law and Misrule and Outlander as your options for the campaign type. Now, if you are playing either either a Dominion or Law and Misrule campaign. They're very, very similar. They're both, one is territories, which is Dominion, and one is rackets. Now, rackets and territories, they're all listed in here, so you can do a combination of both, like I just did in my campaign, or you can just merely select Dominion or Law and Misrule ones to your heart's content. Also, if you want to do an uprising campaign, that's also where you would do it. It doesn't actually have it listed in there, but that's how you would run an uprising campaign as well in there. Obviously, you need to use meat as the main sort of mechanic, but that's available on the actual gang pages themselves, so you can edit those up and down. But also, in terms of uprising, it also has a list of its own territories, which are much the same as the Dominion territories, to be honest. We also have the Outlander campaign in there as well, which will give you options for all your resources and stuff too. So what we'll do is we start off with the basic Dominion campaign here, just to show you what you can do, and we'll hit that as well. Now, the next thing you've got is campaign name. So we'll give it a campaign name, shall we? We'll just call it test for now, because you can always change this later. And then after that, you've got description, which is optional. Now, I would strongly recommend writing a little bio or a backstory of the actual campaign, you know, the lore around that campaign, because I do think it's really important to do so, and that's where you would do it in there. Of course, we're not going to do that today because I don't need to show you how to write a story. Of course, if you're not that creative, you could use ChatGPT or something for something like that. I've used it before just to flesh out a few little short stories and whatnot. Or you might have someone in your group who wants to volunteer to be a creative short story writer and stick something in there. But I do think it really does create a nice environment for everybody to play in. Anyway, we're going to hit the little tick button now, and that's going to take us into the main sort of section for how you run your campaigns. All right, so now we're in the view campaign section. Of course, we're in the back of house bit here for the arbitrator. So there's very little that you can see. Over on the left, you will have your list of campaigns if you do have any. Over on the right, you'll have the available gangs, and through the middle, you'll have your campaign gangs as well. So nothing's in there just yet. Over on the right, though, you've got the available gangs, and that is all of the gang lists that you've created yourself. And you can import these really easily just by hitting the plus button next to that gang list. So let's do that here. We'll import the GOAT squad, and that will come up through the middle there with the name of the gang, the rating, the rep, the type of the gang, and the owner of the gang as well. Barba Fett there, that's me. And then we've got a gang search button underneath that. So we can use that if your friend or if someone in the campaign that you want to invite gives you their gang name, you can then enter that into the gang search bit, and that's where you will be able to invite them, send them an invite, and they'll join the campaign setup. Now, if you keep going further down, this is where you have a few more options. What we're going to do here is mess around with the campaign territories, the campaign rackets, and of course the admin as well. So where it says campaign members, we have a little tick box next to admin. So you'll obviously want to make yourself an admin to have full access to all the tools here. That's pretty much a given. Of course, if you do want to create someone else as an admin in your campaign, then you can do that here simply by hitting that little tick. The next thing you've got there is campaign territory. So the little pencil there, we're going to start populating it with campaign territories. Here is where you have two little drop downs. You have a select territory and a gang optional. So we could just add, say, the fighting pit, and you could give it to a gang, or you can just add it to the campaign and make it available in that campaign. So we can just add as many campaign territories or campaign rackets as we like, and that is where we populate the campaign with those. Then you can contest them when you fight your battles. So now down below that, we're going to look at the campaign battles section. Really straightforward. We just hit the plus in here. This is where you will select the actual battle that's been fought. So you'll be able to tick the gangs, the box next to the gangs that have taken part in that battle. And then you will have selecting the scenario, who was the winner, who was the loser, the date and the day which the battle was fought, and of course battle notes below that as well, where you can enter in a little story. You also have the campaign event bit at the very bottom there. That's where you can enter a little bit of lore or something that's happened in the campaign, whether it's the beginning or the end or the middle of the campaign. That's where you can add a little bit of lore and maybe enter some campaign rules changes or anything like that, or just notices for the people that are actually playing in your campaign. Now, obviously, you can, like I said earlier, you can go in and mess around with your your campaign gangs that are actually in there. So you can click on the names of the gangs in your campaign, and you can go in and manually edit the credit amount, the XP amount, and whatnot. And you can also go in there and just have a look to make sure that your players are actually doing things legitimately. It's all really straightforward, basically, and that is pretty much, that's all you really need to know in terms of running your campaign in Yaktribe on Necromunda. I'm not going to go into the absolute nitty-gritty of it, because this is really just a quick how-to guide on what to do in terms of running a campaign in Necromunda. As you can see, it's very straightforward indeed. If you've got any more questions though, please do comment down below, or feel free to send me an email at wellywoodwargaming@gmail.com, and I'll be free to answer any questions that you might have. Again, please do like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you on the flip side. Cheers.